Welcome back to Spicy Decks of the Week, where we take a look at all the cool, crazy decks from the past week that had success either in tournament, or by reaching King of Games, or by going on a win streak at the King of Games or Legend level. This week we have several different decks that went on win streaks, including this Chaos Dragon list that is mixing about 5 different decks or archetypes into one single deck here. So we have our traditional Chaos monsters with BLS and Levianeer, but we're also running the Chaos monsters from like 2013 with Light Pulsar Dragon and Dark Flare Dragon. So we have a total of 8 Chaos monsters in here, but more than that, we also have Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon, we have Blue Eyes monsters like Alternate White Dragon and the Vanilla Blue Eyes, we have Rocket monsters in here with Quick Launch, and we also have a Lightsworn engine here as well to try to mill everything into the graveyard. We even have a Dragoonity monster in this deck, so many different archetypes being mishmashed into one single deck, and it actually works out pretty well. I've been playing with this deck, or a version of it, the last couple weeks, ever since this one came out, and I'm definitely planning on doing a full deck breakdown on a Chaos Dragon list of some kind, utilizing some of the strategies that we see in this deck here. So we also have a skill that actually pairs pretty well with the deck. It's called the Opposites. It's a new skill, I believe, from Paradox. It says select one of your level 7 or higher dragon type monsters that's banished or in your graveyard, and one card that has the same level, attack, and defense and a different card name, and add one of them to your hand and return the other to the bottom of your deck / extra deck. So it gives you various ways to add some of your dragons to your hand from your deck or graveyard back to your hand should you mill them. So, go through the deck list real quick. We have the 1 BLS, the 1 Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon, 1 Blue Eyes Alternate Dragon, 2 Chaos Levianeer, 3 Dark Flare Dragon, 2 Eclipse Wyvern, 1 Whitestone of Ancients, 1 Dragoonity Armagran, we have 2 Light Pulsar Dragon, 2 Rocket Tracer, 1 Magna Rocket Dragon, 2 Raiden, 1 Lightstone of Legend, 1 Metal Rocket Dragon, a single Vanilla Blue Eyes White Dragon, and then for our spells we have Allure of Darkness, 2 Quick Launch, 2 Dragon Ravine, tons of nice little targets you can dump off of this thing. We also have 2 Charge the Light Brigade, 1 Melody of the Awakening Dragon, and then for the extra deck we have a Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, Animaru, Dingirsu, Evil Swarm Nightmare, Malevolent Sin, Nightmare Unicorn, Linkuriboh, and Nightmare Phoenix rounding out the extra deck. Next up we have a Crystal Beast deck, and this is actually a smaller list. So when we've seen Crystal Beast decks in the past, we've seen some 30 card decks, we've seen them be mixing with other things like Orcus and various decks, sort of making hybrid decks with them. This is just a very simple 20 card deck, only 4 monsters, a number of different stun cards or backward cards that we're able to get easy access to with our search card Rainbow Bridge, able to add a ton of consistency to this deck. So because of the spell card being able to add both our key trap card to hand and Crystal Bond to hand, which is just a generic like Rhoda for the deck, basically allowing you to add your Crystal Beast to hand, you have tons of consistency being able to get whatever you need here. So you have basically 7 ways to get to your monsters with the Rainbow Bridge, and then of course it gives you like 6 copies of your key trap card Conclave, which allows you to, if your Crystal Beast monster is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon another from the deck, plus you can use it to send it to the graveyard to bounce a card on your opponent's side of the board and one of yours back to hand. So you can bounce your opponent's monster back to their extra deck, and then with 3 copies of Compulse, you got 6 cards in your deck that can bounce your opponent's stuff, and then you combine that with like things like Necro Valley, and you're really able to just put a hamper on what your opponent's trying to do. Our skill here is Crystal Power. It says this turn the attack of all face-up monsters on your side of the field increases by the number of continuous spells on your side of the field times 200. This skill can only be used once per turn, but it does not have a limit on how many turns you can do it per duel. So every turn you can basically give your monsters 200, 400, 600 attack points based on how many Crystal Beasts you have sitting in your spell trap zone. So going through the deck list, we have 3 Sapphire Pegasus and 1 Topaz Tiger. We have 2 Pot of Duality to help cycle through everything, 2 Necro Valley, a single Crystal Bond. This card is still soft limited to 1 because you can only get 1 with Jesse at level 45. We have 1 Cosmic Cyclone, 1 Dark Hole, 3 Rainbow Bridge, 1 Crystal Promise, 3 Compulse, and then 3 Crystal Conclave. For the extra deck, it's just mostly a bunch of rank 4s. We have number C39 Utopia Ray, the regular 39 Utopia, number S39 Utopia the Lightning Chidori, Malevolent Sin, a Gaga Samurai, and then we have a number 27 Dreadnought with the Super Quantal Mech King Great Magnus that you summon off of it. Next up, we have a Gearfried deck, and this is actually a Gearfried Onomot deck, mixing up a couple of different archetypes into one singular deck here. This is, again, we usually see with Crystal Beast, but we're seeing it here with Gearfried, and it works out pretty well. For our skill, we just need to have 10 like fire monsters and warrior monsters in our deck, and we can achieve that pretty easily with the Gearfried taking up half of those already. And then when you throw in the Rollins and the Battling Box Reveals, it allows us to hit the limit pretty quickly. And the automats themselves don't take up a ton of space in the extra deck or in your regular deck because of the consistency that Automata Para gives you, being able to add whatever 2 automats you need for your combos, and then having the Automata pickup to consistently get it. You have 6 ways to access this card, so you're pretty much going to always have whatever 2 Automat cards you need in order to combo off and set up your board against your opponent, while being able to simultaneously use the Phoenix Gearfried monsters, particularly the Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, to add additional negates to your side of the board. So go through the deck real fast. We have 3 Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. Of course, we're using the Salamandra and Phoenix skill here. It's going to let you normal summon your Phoenix Gearfried without tribute summoning. Also, you're going to dump equip spells in your graveyard to use with the Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. So that way you can summon it very easily and get its effect off. So we have 3 of the Immortal Phoenix, 2 of the regular Phoenix Gearfried. We have 1 Silent Swordsman level 7, and we're also, of course, running one of the normal Silent Swordsman. This combos very nicely with the deck because pretty much everything in here is a warrior type, except for a couple of the Automat monsters like Sister and Glove. So we have 1 Utopic Onomatopoeia, 1 Zubaba Bancho Gagaga Coat, 1 Silent Swordsman, 1 Go-Go Glove, 1 Gagaga Sister. We have 3 Roland, 2 Battling Boxer Veil, and then we have the 3 Automata Para, 3 Automata Pickup, and we have 1 Gagaga Revenge, and then the 1 Silent Sword Slash. It's nice you can ditch this off the Automata Para, be able to then add the Silent Swordsman from your deck to hand and then set up that spell negation, which is just so powerful. And then our extra deck is, again, mostly just a bunch of rank 4s and rank 6s here for the Automat engine. We have Constellar Ptomali M7, 1 copy of the Giant Hand, an Abyss Dweller, 1 Beatrice, 1 Malevolent Sin, a Steel Swarm Roach, a Rhinoceros, and then a single Exabeetle rounding out this deck. And then last but not least, we have a very simple but somewhat powerful invoked Kaiju deck. So this deck can be really, really frustrating to play against. It gives you the ability to obviously use the Kaiju monsters to tribute off your opponent's monsters and summon them to your opponent's side of the board. So if your opponent is putting up monsters that are supposed to have like negates on them, that have like powerful effects that are supposed to shut you down, you can very easily just tribute over them, summon a Kaiju to their board, and deal with that threat very quickly. And a lot of people forget that the Kaijus have a secondary effect too. If you have a Kaiju on your opponent's side of the board, you can summon one to your side of the field also. Usually it doesn't come up too much because people are usually just running like 2 or 3, sometimes as a side deck card, but in this deck we have a total of 8 of them here. Or excuse me, 7 Kaiju monsters in this deck here, so it gives us the ability to very easily be able to tribute over our opponent's monsters and then summon one to our own side of the board with more attack points, swing over it, and take control of the board that way. And then of course we also have a couple of fire attributes Kaijus in here, so it gives us a fodder for our Alistair the Invoker to be able to go into a Purgatrio and try to OTK our opponent with that card. We're even able to take use of, or make use of, the Kaiju Field Spell card. It gives you the ability to add Kaijus from your deck to hand as you get counters on it over the course of the game, so another way to add consistency to this deck here. Overall, it's a pretty solid list, and if you're looking for another way to use the Invoked engine, it's something that you've had in your collection for a while, and you're just trying to find another deck to use it in, I'm always looking for different ways to try to find Alistair a home here in Duel Links, just because we have a lot of things back for it to make it a higher power deck, and it just hasn't seemed to be able to make its way into the metagame. So going through the deck list real fast, we have no skill listed for the deck, so you can use a number of different things with this. We have 2 Dogoran Kaijus, 3 Alistair the Invoker. The author of this deck said the Super Anti-Kaiju was a mistake. You can cut that for another Kaiju monster or another backer or some other card in the deck, but nonetheless, so you don't need that. We also have 1 Thunder King Kaiju, 3 Raiden Kaiju, and then 2 Kiteroids. For the spells, we have 1 Terraforming, 1 Invocation, and then 2 of the Kyoto Waterfront Field Spell. And then for the traps, we have 3 Compulsory Evacuation Device, 1 Karma Cut, and then getting into the extra deck, we have 1 Invoked Purgatrio, 1 Invoked Earth Monster, whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce, 2 of the Invoked Caliga Dark Monsters, and then we have, for the XYZs, Dark Arm, Dragon of Annihilation, 1 Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, an Evil Swarm Nightmare, and then 1 single Leak Karibo, rounding out this deck and rounding out this episode of Spicy Decks of the Week. So if you guys liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. It definitely helps out the channel grow. If there's any of these decks you want to see me do a full deck profile on, please let me know. I'm trying to get back to putting some out. I have a Lunalight deck profile coming out here in the next couple days. Beyond that, thanks so much for watching and have a great rest of the day.